was disconnected. Let us start again. And the complete hall ticket number in the comment box. This session is on memory organization. Okay. In this memory organization, we will be going to see the first topic is nothing but your memory hierarchy. What do you actually mean by memory hierarchy? A memory is nothing but it is used for storing the programs and data that are required to perform a specific task. Okay, we know that in the memory we can store the programs and data which is used to perform the specific task. Okay, for according to the CPU, for CPU to operate at its maximum speed, it required an uninterrupted and high-speed access to these memories that contains program and the data. So to get an high speed or maximum access, we will be using these memories. Okay. Some of the criteria which we need to discuss to be considered while deciding the memory is nothing but cost, speed, memory access time, and data transfer rate and reliability. Based on this criteria only, you are going to decide that what type of memory and which memory you are going to use it. Okay, now if you are going to see here, we do are going to have many different types of memories. One is auxiliary memory, and the second one is main memory, and the third one is nothing but your cache memory. So what happens here, from the CPU point of view, CPU will be going to have a main memory as well as cache memory in connection. Okay, so when you go with a main memory, first CPU will be going to check the program or data or information which it wants in the cache memory. If it doesn't find it in the cache memory, it goes to the main memory and it is going to access that particular program, those things from the main memory. Okay. So now this, if suppose if the time taken by the CPU to access this main memory is a little bit more when compared to the time taken by the CPU to access the cache memory. So maximum it will be trying to use the programs and code from the cache memory. If it misses this particular program, then it goes to the main memory. Okay. Now what happens if I want to go with an external devices to access? So what I'll be using an auxiliary memory and external device memories. Those are nothing but your magnetic types and magnetic disks. So this will be connected to your I/O processors and it will be connected to the main memory. So from that, based on that one, it will be going the auxiliary memory data will be moved to main memory. From main memory, it will be moved to the cache memory. From the cache memory, it will be moved to the CPU. So this is nothing but your how the memories are attached to your CPU. Okay. Now let us go with what you mean by auxiliary memory. An auxiliary memory is the bottom and it is not connected with the CPU directly. So your auxiliary memory is nothing but it is in the bottom in hierarchy, it will be in the bottom level and it is not connected to the CPU directly. However, being slow, it is present in large volume in the system due to its low pricing. So what happens here? Due to it is being low in speed and it is having a large volume. That is now more space is available and the price cost is also low. That is why also memories are preferable for few times. Okay, this memory is basically used for storing the programs that are not needed in the main memory. Something which is not frequently needed. So those things we are going to store it in this particular auxiliary memory. This helps in freeing the main memory, which can be utilized by other programs that needs to a main memory. Okay, so by that we are going to reduce, we are going to use the main memory perfectly by storing the unrelevant data, not useful data in the auxiliary memory. Okay, the main data will be stored in the main memory. So that one, what happens, main memory will become free up and you can utilize it properly in the you can utilize your auxiliary memory properly. Okay, the main function of this memory is to provide the parallel searching that can be used for performing a search on a entire world. Okay, you can go with the parallel searching concept in your auxiliary memory. Next one is what? Main memory. What is the main memory? Main memory will be going to have the second level in the hierarchy. So from bottom, the second level is here nothing but your main memory. Due to its direct connection with the CPU, it is also known as a central memory. So as it has been directly connected to the CPU, it is also known as a central memory. The main memory holds the data and programs that are needed by the CPU. Okay, so the main memory will be going to hold the data and the programs that are needed by the CPU. The main memory consists of RAM memory, which is available in the static and dynamic RAM memories. Okay, so this is nothing but your main memory concept, which is nothing but your central memory, and it is then second bottom second most for the high in the memory hierarchy. Okay, next one is what? Cache memory. What do you mean by cache memory? Cache memory will be the top level in the memory hierarchy because it is having the high speed of operation, and it increases the speed of processing also of the current program will also be increased at a rapid rate. Cache memory is usually placed between the CPU and the main memory. Okay, we have seen that cache memory is placed between the CPU and main memory, and the speed of operation is also more. If you are going to see here, this is nothing but your levels of your memories. The first, the bottommost is nothing but your secondary memory. Next comes your main memory. Next comes your cache memory. Cache memory can be level 1 and level 2 cache memories. Next, you are going to have the registers, which is easily accessible, and the cost is also less, as well as the size is also less. Okay, secondary memory will be having more size, RAM will have some little more size, and your cache memory will have some lesser size when compared to your secondary memory, and register will have still more have lesser space. So this is nothing but your general memory hierarchy structure. So let us go with the main concept of your main memory. What is the main memory? It is a central storage in the computer system, and it is a larger memory, and it is made up of integrated circuits. So you are going to have RAM memory and ROM memories in this. Okay, RAM is nothing but you know the random access memory, and it is the best known form of your computer memory. RAM is a random access, that is I can access any memory cell directly if I want based upon my row and column intersection at that cell. So RAMs are generally static RAM and dynamic RAM. It is classified into two types: static RAM and dynamic RAM. Static RAM, if I'm going to say, static RAM is nothing but a bit of data is stored using the state of a flip flop. Okay, and returns the value indefinitely as long as it is kept powered. Mostly uses to create a cache memory of CPU. Okay, so the cache memory of CPU we mainly will be using the static RAM memory concept. Okay, it is faster and more expensive than your DRAM. Whereas your dynamic RAM is nothing but each cell store bits with a capacitor and a transistor. In the DRAM will be using a capacitor and a transistors, whereas in the SRAM will be using a flip-flops. And it is going to have the large storage capacity, needs to be refreshed frequently, and it is used to create the main memory. It is slower and cheaper than the SRAM. Okay, so this is slower and cheaper than the SRAM. Here the SRAM is faster and more expensive than the DRAM. Next comes your ROM. ROM is used for storing the programs that are permanently resident in the computers, and for the tables of constant that do not change in value once the production of the computer is completed. You people know this one. ROM is nothing but your permanent memory. I cannot change it. I cannot erase it. Okay, the ROM portion of the main memory is used for storing an initial program called as bootstrap loader. Bootstrap loader is nothing but when you start your program computer, it will be going to initially load with some program. Okay, when you start your computer, so that program is nothing but it is known as a bootstrap loader. Okay, and it is being used when you turn on your computer. Okay, the five basic types of ROMs are nothing but your read-only ROM, PROM, programmable read-only ROM, EPROM, which is nothing but erasable programmable read-only memory, EEPROM is nothing but electrical erasable programmable ROM memory, and flash EEPROM memory. Okay, these are nothing but your 5 basic ROM types. Next one is about RAM and ROM chips. A RAM chip is better suited for communication with the help of with the CPU. So, if it has one or more control units that selects the chip when needed. Okay. Now, let us go with the block diagram of your RAM chip. The capacity of where memory is 128 words, he is saying, of 8 bits per word. So, what actually mean that is 128 words means 128 rows will be there, and each row you are going to store 8 bits of data, that is nothing but your 1 byte of the 1 byte, which is nothing but your 8 bits of data will be stored in each row. Okay, so if you are seeing here, this is nothing but your logical diagram, IC diagram or pins of your RAM. So what are the pins we are going to have to access 128 words? I should know address lines. We are going to have address lines, and you are going to have the data lines, which is used to read and write the data into the memory. Okay, in the RAM memory, what type of the operation you are going to perform, read operation or write operation? Based on that one, read and write pins are there, and there are 2 pins are available. One is chip select 1 and chip select 2. One is active low and active high pins. So if this is 1 and this is 0 only, then only you are going to perform the operation on the RAM memory. If any one is altered, then you are, let us say, in the condition is high impedance stage. If both are 0, high impedance state. If it is 0 and 1 also, high impedance state. If this is 1 and this is 0 only, your operations will be coming into the picture. And if our read and write both are 0 means what I am doing, nothing I am doing, just it is in the high impedance state. If any one of these two are 1, then read and write operation will be performed. If you see here, WR is 1, so it is write operation. RD is 1, it is read operation. So what it is doing, input data to the RAM, that is we are writing the data into the RAM memory. If it is read means I am reading the data from the RAM. Again, if it is I11 means what happens if select bar 2 is nothing but your 1. Again, it is a high impedance stage. Okay, so this is nothing but your RAM IC chip design. This is nothing but your ROM IC chip design. In the ROM IC chip design, you are going to have same thing like address lines, you are going to have the data lines, and you are going to have chip select. But we don't have read and write bar. Why? Because in the ROM we can only perform the read operation, we are not going to perform the write operation. Next one is nothing but your memory address map. This is very important. Memory address map is a pictorial representation of the assigned address space for each chip in the system. Okay, you are going to implement the pictorial representation. To demonstrate an example, let us assume that a computer system needs 512 bytes of RAM memory and 512 bytes of ROM memory. Okay, so the RAM have 128 bytes and need 7 address lines, whereas ROM have 512 bytes and needs 9 address lines. How you got this 9 address lines and how you got this 7 address lines? Represent this in terms of 2 to the power of something. 2 to the power of 7 is nothing but your 128. So the 7 means here that the 2 to the power of 7, 7 and the 2 to the power of anything is nothing but that many address lines I require to access this much of your or RAM size. So what is this is nothing but your RAM size. So how many RAMs do I want? 4 RAM memories and 1 ROM memory I require. So for this one I need to go with the mapping of your address mapping. So what I will be doing here, for RAM I require 7 address lines. So these are my 7 address lines. Okay. For ROM memory I require totally 9 address lines. Okay, 9 address lines I am using. And 1 address line, that is 10th address line, I am using it to indicate that which is the RAM memory and ROM memory. If this particular line is 0 means it is a RAM memory. If this line is 1 means it is a ROM memory. Okay, and the remaining lines will be going to indicate that each and every memory location. Okay, now in the RAM memory, as I am using 4 RAM memories, I will be using these 2 bits with the 4 combinations 00, 01, 10, 11. whatever the address you are going to specify between these 7 address lines, this address, are you reading or writing the data to RAM 2 or RAM 3 or RAM 4? That will be selected by using this particular 00011011. Okay, this is nothing but your address mapping. Okay, the hexadecimal address system assigns a range of hexadecimal equivalent addresses for each chip. Line 8 and 9, I have told you, it will distinguish between the 4 binary RAM memories. And line 10 will be going to say you that if it is 0 means RAM memory, if it is 1 means ROM memory. Okay. So if you are going to see, this is nothing but your structure diagram of your memory. Okay. 4 RAM memories are there: RAM 1, RAM 2, RAM 3, RAM 4, and you're going to have one ROM memory. All these ROM memories data are connected to the data bus of your CPU. If you see here, RAM is read and write memory, so it is a bidirectional arrow maps, whereas ROM is nothing but only read only memory, so it is a unidirectional arrow map. Okay. Apart from this one, your RAM require 7 address lines, so I'm going to have 87 address lines, 87, 80 to 7 address lines, which are connected to the CPU address lines, that is nothing but 0 to 1. Okay. Now apart from that one, if you are going to see in the CPU, I am going to have read and write pins. This has been connected to your all both the RAMs read and write bar pins. Okay, read and write pins. Now if I am going to see here, we are going to have two chip selects, CS1 and CS2 bar. Okay, from the decoder, I am using here a decoder. Why I am using a decoder is nothing but this decoder is going to decode my 4 RAM locations. So 8 and 9 pins gives you 4 combinations: 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. Based on this one, any of this RAM will be selected. So if it is 0 means 0, 0 means first RAM should be selected. So CS1 will be in the Act 1 condition. Okay, if it is 1, 0, 1 means your second RAM 2 will be selected. If it is 1, 0 means RAM 3 will be selected. If it is 1, 1 means RAM 4 will be selected. Whereas CS bar 2 is nothing but I am giving the connection to the address line called 10. Why? Because if it is 0 means RAM 1 should be selected. If it is 1 means RAM 2 should be, ROM should be selected. Read only memory should be selected. So this I am giving directly to the RAM, whereas for your ROM I am going to use an inverter. Why? Because 1 should be converted to 0 to make this as an active condition. Okay, and your 8 and 9 address lines I'm connecting directly to this one. Why? Because it requires 9 address lines. This is nothing but your general memory connections to the CPU. Next come to the cache memory. If the active portion of the program and the data are placed in a fast small memory, the average memory access time can be reduced. So that is the use of your cache memory. So what I will be doing, the frequently used programs or data will be stored in the cache memory. So the time taken to access the cache memory is less when compared to the main memory. So the memory access time will be increasing. So the total execution of the time will be going to reduce. Okay, and the fast small memory is referred to as this memory is referred to as cache memory. The cache memory is the fastest component in the memory hierarchy and approaches the speed of the CPU components. So the speed of this cache memory is almost similar to your CPU components. Okay. Now when CPU needs to access a memory, the cache is examined. Okay. So whenever CPU wants to access any particular in the memory, any program, it first goes to the cache memory. If the word is found in the cache, it reads the data. It's read from the cache memory first. Okay, it is read from the fast memory. If the word address by the CPU is not found in the cache, then the main memory is accessed. Okay, if the data is there in the cache, it will be reading from the cache. If it is not there, then only it goes to the main memory. Okay. Now, when the data is available, when the CPU refers to memory and finds the word in the cache, then it produces a hit. Hit is nothing but whenever the data is available in the cache, it is known as a hit. If the data is not available in the cache memory, it is known as a miss. Okay. The performance of cache memory is frequently measured in terms of your hit ratio. What is the hit ratio? The number of hits divided by total number of hit plus miss. So that will give you the hit ratio. If the hit ratio is more, then you're going, your cache memory is that speed of operation is fast and it is very accurate and it is very useful for us. Now, basic characteristics of your cache memory is fast access time. Therefore, very little and no time must be wasted when searching the word in the cache memory. So, in the cache memory, I should not waste my time. For that case, we will be using a mapping. Okay, the transformation of the data from the main memory to the cache memory is referred to as mapping process. We will be going with the mapping process. Mapping process is nothing but we are going to copy the data from the main memory to the cache memory. Why we are going with the mapping is nothing but main